with coverage you can count on. This is WNEMTV5 News.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday to all of you. Hopefully, if you're up with us, you're caffeinated and ready to take on the week. We are starting off with a live look over mid-Michigan today, just a normal January morning. Thanks so much for waking up with TV5. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Meteorologist Chris Eastlick also here. Happy Monday, Chris. How are we kicking off the week? Is it on a good note?
Yeah, Blake, I think it's a pretty smooth start to the week. Our focus, of course, will be on the way, is on the snow that's on the way. Sorry, I can't get my words out today, but today should be just fine as we go through the daylight hours and much of the evening. Now, as far as your temperatures are concerned this morning, still mild for the season as far as our overnight lows go. We've got teens in our coolest spots, but most of us in the middle 20s. It looks like Saginaw, you're right around 27, Carroll at 25, Midland at 26, and Alma at 28. And our wind chills are pretty minor too. It looks like teens at worst. We've certainly been there before, and for late January, that's not to be unexpected. As far as your winds go, only a light wind at most, 3 to 5 miles per hour, and generally coming out of a northerly direction as we start the morning. Your first Ward 5 pinpoint Doppler radar live from MBS is all dry too, and we do expect it to stay dry today. There is a system that's off to our south, though, that will be lifting to the north as the day goes along and eventually bring some snow into our region late tonight and tomorrow morning. We do have some winter weather advisories issued for our southwesterly zones in the state of Michigan. Some of those will expand into parts of mid-Michigan a little bit later today. I would be shocked if they don't. We'll keep you posted as soon as those are issued. And then your next 12 hours, it looks like we've just got mostly cloudy skies to get through with temperatures around the upper 20s to low 30s. Your live on-time traffic map, besides one accident in Genesee County, has looked pretty good as we've gone throughout the morning here. Most of the roads flowing at a pretty good pace beyond the usual slowdowns with morning traffic. Linden Road and Baldwin Road, the only accident to speak of. If anything else pops up, we'll be sure to let you know. Your forecast on snow coming up in a bit.
I think the trial is stupid. I think it's counterproductive. We already have a flaming fire in this country, and it's like taking a bunch of gasoline and pouring it on top of the fire.
It's clear that there's division on this issue, and there's division in the country, as we know, and a Senate trial isn't going to help on that front. On the other hand, I'm convinced that you can't just say no harm, no foul when you have as serious an egregious attack on our democratic system as we saw over the last 2 or 3 months.
Former President Donald Trump's second Senate impeachment trial is set. But will Democrats be able to convince enough Republicans to break with the former president and convict him of inciting the deadly U.S. Capitol riot? Melissa Rainey reports.
Telling them the truth.
Republican Senator Mitt Romney says he's studied law review articles that show holding an impeachment trial for a former president is constitutional.
I think it's pretty clear that the effort is constitutional.
A stance that puts Romney at odds with some of his colleagues. He also believes the allegation that Trump did incite the deadly U.S. Capitol riot on January 6th is an impeachable offense.
I believe that what is being alleged and what we saw, which is incitement to insurrection, is an impeachable offense. If not, what is?
Monday, the House is set to formally walk the article of impeachment to the Senate.
I think the trial is stupid. I think it's counterproductive. We already have a flaming fire in this country, and it's like taking a bunch of gasoline and pouring it on top of the fire.
Some Democrats hopeful that the trial will unite both sides of the aisle and allow legislative plans to move forward.
I believe that this impeachment trial, I hope conviction, ultimate disqualification, are the very first powerful steps toward unity in our country moving forward.
The chamber plans to begin the former president's trial next month, expecting it may move faster than Trump's first impeachment trial last year.
I believe it will be a fair trial, but it will move relatively quickly.
I'm Melissa Rainey reporting.
Under an agreement between Senator Schumer and Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the ceremonial functions of the Senate impeachment trial will happen this week, with the article presented today and senators sworn in as jurors tomorrow. The final briefs will be due on February 9th, allowing the trial itself to begin. The National Guard says roughly 7,000 members will remain in Washington, D.C. through the end of the month, with 5,000 staying through mid-March. They're expected to provide assistance with security, communications, logistics, and support to state, district, and federal agencies. Now, troops were sent to D.C. for the inauguration in the wake of the U.S. Capitol riot. Prosecutors have charged more than 120 people with federal crimes in connection with the insurrection. Still unfolding, Crime Stoppers is asking for tips in solving the shooting death of James Scott Davis. 6 years ago, his body was found inside of his home on Stevenson Avenue in Flint. Crime Stoppers offering up to $2,500 for information on this homicide. Wintry conditions and icy roads led to a nasty crash in Detroit Sunday. Now that pileup happened around noon on westbound I-94, bringing traffic to a standstill. State police responded to the scene involving roughly a dozen cars. The crashes were cleared just before 3. No word on any injuries. Take a look at this. This picture from Kevin Jones shows an intersection in Saginaw nearly submerged after a water main break early Sunday morning near Michigan and Weiss Street. The Saginaw Department of Public Works says the break may cause low water pressure in the city and surrounding areas. Now, the Carlton Township Police Department is asking residents to limit water usage while that is being repaired. Happening today, a United Way chapter hosts a food giveaway for Mid-Michigan residents. The Bay County drive-through foodmobile will be parked at the IBEW Local 692 building. That's on West Thomas Street in Bay City. Now that drive starts at 10 this morning. It will last until 1 or until all that food is gone. A Mid-Michigan trailblazer celebrated a big birthday over the weekend. TV5's Trevor Sahaki is live to tell us about Joy Zisler, who made history as the Saginaw Police Department's first female officer. Hey, good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, Blake. Joy Zisler turned 85 over the weekend, but the story of her trailblazing history starts all the way back in the 1960s.
My mother actually saw an ad in the paper that the city was going to hire a policewoman.
And it did. Zisler became the first uniformed policewoman in Saginaw, but she didn't stop there. In 1970, she began the legal battle for equal pay and benefits as her male counterparts.
I had more of the male officers volunteer to testify than we could use in the court case.
6 years and 7 lawyers later, she won, paving the way for every female police officer after her. Zisler remained on the force for nearly 30 years until her retirement in 1989. She has since moved to Wisconsin with her daughter, Melissa.
Mom was a great example of what you could do. And, women, it taught us that women could do anything.
I'm just pleased that that's how I chose to spend my career.
And today, the city of Saginaw employs 8 female police officers. Live this morning, Trevor Sahaki, WNEMTV5.
All right, Trevor, very cool. Thank you for that. How awesome is that? Of course, happy birthday to her as well. TV5 News Time this morning, 6:39. Members of Congress debate a new coronavirus relief bill, and the government tries to get more vaccines sent across the country. We take a look at the latest efforts to control the spread. Here's a live look outside now at Flint. Of course, cool temperatures out the door, but otherwise, the vehicle city is looking good at this hour. Nothing major to report. Take it easy this morning. TV5 Wake Up. We'll be back shortly. Stimulus talks have restarted, but the pathway appears bumpy. President Joe Biden's proposal to boost the U.S. economy and efforts to fight the pandemic are facing some Republican opposition. John Lawrence reports.
President Joe Biden says the American Rescue Plan is a top legislative priority. On Sunday, a top White House economic official discussed the $1.9 trillion package with a bipartisan group of senators, a source on the call tells CNN.
I think considerable progress came out of that in terms of building consensus for this plan.
While Biden is pushing for Republican and Democratic lawmakers to work toward an agreement, there's some criticism from the GOP.
We need to understand where the money's going. Are these to individuals or to entities that really need the help? How has the first $900 billion we just passed a couple of weeks ago, how has that been distributed?
Republican Senator Susan Collins of Maine tells CNN more funds are needed for vaccine distribution, but adds the additional stimulus checks that the president is proposing are not well targeted. If both sides can't come to terms, Senator Bernie Sanders says the Democrats may use reconciliation, a rare and controversial tactic that could push much of the relief package through.
That is 50 votes in the Senate plus the vice president to pass legislation desperately needed by working families in this country right now.
As Biden waits to see what happens with the plan, he's taking other COVID-related actions, like reinstating international travel restrictions former President Donald Trump moved to ease on his way out the door. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
The Biden administration says medical advisors suggested the travel restrictions. Prior to Biden's inauguration, Trump signed an executive order lifting such regulations. That was supposed to take effect tomorrow. There have been more than 25 million known COVID-19 cases in the U.S. since the pandemic began, and infections keep rising nationwide. Mexico's president has tested positive for COVID-19. President Lopez Obrador tweeted the news on his official account Sunday. Despite the illness, he says he will continue his duties from the presidential palace, including a planned call with Russian President Vladimir Putin today. They're expected to discuss Russia's COVID vaccine. A spike in COVID cases is putting a serious strain on Japan's healthcare system. A recent survey found at least 15,000 people are waiting to get treated for the virus in hospitals or isolation centers. But right now, there just aren't enough beds to keep up with that demand. Cases have more than doubled in the past 2 months, surging to more than 360,000. High-risk patients are taken to hospitals, while those with mild symptoms are transferred to isolation. Australia has suspended its travel bubble with New Zealand for at least 72 hours. Now, the move comes over concerns of the spread of a South African variant of the virus. Travelers entering the country from New Zealand have to quarantine for up to 14 days. Those who arrived since January 14th are also asked to isolate and get tested. Under the travel bubble, travelers who had been in New Zealand for at least 14 days did not have to quarantine.
And now your first Horn 5 forecast, certified most accurate by Weather Rate.
Good Monday morning, Mid-Michigan, all set to start a brand new work week, and we're getting off on a very quiet note. Looks like your morning commute today pretty smooth. Your first 1.5 pinpoint Doppler radar is all clear, and I would imagine as we go throughout today and much of tonight, it is going to stay that way. But we take a wider view, and we have to look off to the south. That is our next weather maker that's set to arrive a little bit later on tonight. And even though it shows a lot of rain right now, moving through parts of Missouri and Illinois, as well as parts of Indiana, we are on the cold side of that system as this area of low pressure off to the south and west moves to the north and east, and that means all snow for us and a little bit of a morning commute that could be challenging tomorrow. Your first Horn 5 hour-by-hour forecast shows that we've got cloudy skies expected to take over today. There may be a few breaks in those clouds early this morning, but mostly cloudy conditions take over for a majority of the day. I think by 3 o'clock this afternoon and 6 o'clock tonight, we're still just fine. Not a whole lot to worry about as we work through our Monday, and even around midnight or so, as far out as that time frame, we're pretty dry as well. I think eventually overnight into tomorrow morning, we'll gradually see the snow move in. I think an arrival time between about 3 and 4 o'clock for the most part in our southwesterly zones makes sense, and then snow will gradually become more widespread through the morning hours tomorrow through about lunchtime or so. I think that's the time frame that things are most consistent. You'll notice the farther north you go, not quite as much snow. I think you have a possibility to see some flakes fly in these areas, but just not quite as much as areas to the south. I think once we get to the afternoon, a lot of that starts to diminish, and I think that only continues into Tuesday night before ending completely by the time Wednesday morning rolls around. How much snow are we expecting? Not a whole lot of change from yesterday's forecast. Does look like we have the chance to bump up these totals a little bit more the farther south you go. I think you'll see a lot of 2 to 3 inch totals from Saginaw on south with an occasional 4-inch total. They get lighter as you go north, about 1 to 3 in the northern end of the Tri-Cities, and then 0 to 1 in this white shaded area. There may not be much accumulation through parts of Roscommon and Ogama County, and then this small sliver right near the lakeshore through parts of Iosco and also Aranac counties. You may see around 1 inch or 2. We'll see what happens. That part of the forecast, the northern extent of it, comes with a little bit less confidence than areas to the south. So we'll see how that's adjusted as we go into the afternoon. There's still a lot of time to go, so be sure to tune in tonight for the latest with Chief Meteorologist Brian Buckman. Winter Storm Severity Index is basically a broad view of where we expect the worst of the impacts to be. Even so, only registering at about minor impacts through parts of Saginaw County and down to the south along I-69. Basically what this map does, it takes a general overview of the potential for things like blowing snow, traffic conditions, those types of things, and then spits out this image right here. Basically, minor impacts are defined as inconveniences as we go through the day tomorrow, so I think we'll see some winter weather advisories issued for at least parts of the area. Your high temperatures today, upper 20s to low 30s, pretty close to average, so a pretty typical end of January kind of day. And today, as I mentioned before, should be just fine. Just increasing clouds in any spots that we see the clouds break up this morning. Dry and seasonable, temperatures pretty normal. Your forecast tonight, 26. Snow returns by the morning commute tomorrow. I think if you do see some winter weather advisories issued, those will come this afternoon. Your 7-day forecast, mostly cloudy on Wednesday. Thursday and Friday we'll have a chance for a little bit of sun between the clouds. And then Saturday and Sunday, our next chances for rain and snow after tomorrow. But those chances not looking all that significant.
All right, Chris, thank you for that. Now for a look back at some of today's top headlines. Lawmakers split on parts of President Biden's $1.9 trillion package. But one area of agreement is a plan to improve vaccination numbers. Biden officials say the effort has been hampered by the Trump administration. New CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky says her not knowing how much vaccine there is means local officials can't formulate a plan. Michigan officials say the state could hit its goal of inoculating 70% of people ages 16 and older by August. Now, if the state could administer 50,000 coronavirus vaccine doses a day, but in the first 6 weeks of vaccine distributions, Michigan has gotten 52% of what is needed to reach that goal. Health officials in Michigan report 3 new cases of the COVID-19 UK variant, bringing the state's total to 6. CDC modeling shows this new, potentially more dangerous variant could become the predominant form of COVID in the U.S. by March. But so far, it looks like current vaccines should be effective against that variant. Today is the last day for restaurant and hospitality workers to apply for COVID-19 relief funding. Applications for the employee assistance grants will be accepted until 5. Those eligible will receive up to $1,650. That amount is taxable but does not count against unemployment as income. To apply, head to the hotlink section of our website, WNEM.com. Minnesota bars are coming up with creative ways to help people escape cabin fever. They're taking the fun outdoors with an ice bar and new cocktails. They've also added cornhole boards, shuffleboard courts, and beer pong tables made completely out of ice. So at least we know our drinks will be cold. All right, here's a look at what's ahead on CBS this morning.
Coming up, how will President Biden tackle the coronavirus in his first 100 days? Dr. Anthony Fauci joins us. Plus, we remember Larry King and how he changed the broadcast industry over a 63-year career. Coming up on CBS This Morning.
Does look like we've got increasing clouds as we go into today. Not expecting any wet weather through your Monday. Your Tuesday forecast will start to change going into tomorrow morning. Some areas of snow will break out for the morning commute and last through a good chunk of the morning. I think things will start slowing down during the afternoon tomorrow. Wednesday through Friday we dry out and a chance for some evening snow on Saturday with a few rain and snow showers Sunday.
All right, looking forward to those few days of possible sunshine, Chris. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for hanging out with the TV5 Wake Up on this Monday morning. Have a wonderful day. We will see you again at 9.